What up, YouTube Digital? I was going through my comments that people left to me on other videos, and Jesus Christ, some people are fucking idiots. But anywho, this is a response to Navy medic, and okay, most states. Let's get into this a little bit here in law. Most states break up murder into murder 1, murder 2, sometimes even murder 3. And those are general terms. They might, some states call them different things, but. And then you have manslaughter, which is death by accident. But it's an accident that you caused. So it really shouldn't be accident, because most of the time, like DUI, manslaughter. Even though I should say it'd be murder too, but on a personal level, a cop as a person versus me as a person, there is no difference. But I'll get into a few other things. I do believe there should be the death penalty for all murder 1, all murder 2. And probably about 50% of manslaughters. Just that. But the cop thing, I agree with, just for the fact as they're obligated to do something that you're not. Now, I can give an instance where I lived, it was like 17, somewhere around there, and I lived in an apartment complex, really shitty place, and we had this new couple that moved in next door into one of the one bedrooms, and they were like 19 and from like Ohio or some fucking place like that, and they just got married. Go lay down. And it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting in a chair watching the news, and I'm about ready to head out, and I hear screaming next door, and I see her run out. We had a big, gigantic, huge living room window, and right in front of our section of units, there was a laundry room, probably about 30 feet away from my window. And I saw her run to the laundry room and lock herself in there. And then I see him run right after her, and I'm like, oh hell no. So I go out there. I'm like, dude, you need to get your ass back in the house. And he looked at me, and he told me to go mind my own business, and I said, no, this is my business. And then I can see her through the same big windows that we had. They put in a laundry room. They just reused them in every unit. And I could see that she had a black eye. And I I was like, okay, I see where this is going. And I asked her if she wanted me to call the cops. And she told me no. And I'm like, okay. And I told them that better not. Were those actually washed? Or are they just sitting? They probably weren't washed then. Now wash your hands after that. I set them on there. Sorry, I set them on there because I was going to, and then she needed to do something first, and so I didn't get to them. I was just gonna throw them in a pair of my sweats or something like that, and wash them. Talking about my. You can't just throw them in a washer. You gotta put them in a pillowcase or something like that. Otherwise, they get stretched out. But anywho, basically, told them no. We're not gonna play this game, and we're not gonna do this. If I hear a scream, I'm coming after you. And, basically ask any of the other people around here if I mean it or not. And never happened again. A couple weeks later, a person from their church came over and thanked me and told me that they're getting counseling and blah, 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 blah. And they're still married today, which is cool. As far as I know, he wasn't stupid enough to do anything more. But thing is I didn't have to get off my couch. I didn't. There was nothing said I had to get off my couch. Now, if it would have got violent in front of me, the most obligated I would have been was to call 911. But at that point, then the cops would have been obligated to respond. And when the cops are obligated to respond to a domestic dispute, that's one of the highest types of calls where cops are killed. So that's the difference. And so I do believe that it should be instant death. Now, I can also name 4 officers that I know that are dead. Randall Jennings, Randy. It was always Officer Jennings, but Butte County Sheriff's Department killed him 97. He was chasing a domestic suspect. He got on scene. The man took off running. He was chasing him. If I remember right, he was Asian. And they went into a field, and the guy spun around, pop, killed him. There's a bridge now connecting Orville to Highway 70 in honor of him. 2 other Butte County Sheriff's officers, Larry Estes and Hunter. Hunter was new on a job. I've met him only a couple times. Estes I met when I was younger. By the time I was older, he was like lieutenant, big guy, close to retirement type deal. And basically, Estes was on his way home to Magalia, California, almost home. There was a call up in Inskip, which is in Butte County. It's where it's where the paved road ends, and the dirt begins in the Sierra. We're talking, 7,000 feet, whatever, 5,000, wherever. And Inskip is an old wagon trading post deal. And there's an old inn, and then there's a couple of little cabins. And one of the guys that was staying in the cabins just flipped out, went nuts, and shot at a couple people and stuff like that. Well, Hunter was dispatched, and he was on his way up. Estes decided to back him up, even though he was off duty and basically a block from his house. And they got to Inskip. They went together to the cabin that they were told the person was in. The person was barricaded, and these cabins are small. They're only 10 by 10 or something like that. I don't know if Google Maps can even show an aerial of them because they're that small, like sheds. And upon kicking the door in, Hunter was shot, I think in the head and the chest, dead, just dead. Estes was able to get off 3 or 4 rounds into the suspect, but the suspect also returned, I think 2 rounds, and they both died too. So all 3 dead. That happened in 2001. Since then, the protocol for the sheriff's department has changed dramatically. And I remember a night in 2008 where I lived in Magalia. I was sitting there talking to people on CB, and I heard my window was open, and I heard a gunshot. And I knew it was a small caliber handgun. And I said, this ain't right. My scanner was on. I heard a dispatch of a woman claiming her boyfriend came home. He became violent. He pulled out a pistol and shot it. And so they were dispatching cops. Well, by this time, they changed their tactics a lot. They went to ARs, MP5s, everything else. And before I lived in Magalia, when I was still in Chico for a while, we lived next to a reserve officer who was also SWAT and SWAT medic. And he had a sweet MP5. Sweet. Loved that thing. But anywho, the 3 officers met up pretty much at where my backyard was, and I'm listening to all this on my scanner, and I can also hear the, yelling and stuff, because there's kind of an open lot between where I was and their backyard, and that guy went out on his back porch, pacing back and forth with the gun. And when the 3 cops finally met up, they drove over there. They exited with their rifles, and they came around the corner. I heard them with my fucking ears say, drop the gun, 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 and then all of a sudden just bam, 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 just bam. You can tell that it was an AR-15, an MP5, and a pistol. And it was about 30 rounds. And I had my CB keyed up at that time, and the other people heard it too. They're like, Jesus Christ, that guy smoked. And sure enough, he was gone. That's how changed things got. They didn't fuck around. They smoked his ass. I don't think I'm not going to sit there and in any way say that they went overboard, because at the end of the day, the guy was pissed off because when he came home, he found his girlfriend playing his WoW character. He died that night because his girlfriend played WoW. The guy clearly was nuts. And the thing that got me is when the DA did the report, and they showed, kind of like the autopsy type drawing. Pretty much all 30 rounds hit him. They were good. And we're talking 11 o'clock at night in the mountains. 100-foot trees block out a lot of moonlight. So, they did a good job, and the dispatcher knew beforehand. I knew beforehand. The people I was talking to on the CB knew beforehand. Everybody that knew about that situation going on at that time knew that guy was going to be dead. And sure enough, one more. Cousin of mine I met once at a wedding. He married to one of my cousins. He was a California highway patrolman. He pulled someone over. He right after he ran the guy's name and everything else, the local city cop rolled by, and he told the cop, code 4, I got it, it's all good. And he had the suspect get out of the car and sit down, I guess, on the curb or something. And I guess he was on a searchable warrant, searchable probation or whatever. And they opened the trunk. Something was seen. The suspect jumped up, shot him, killed him, took his car. And he was caught, and he was given death. Senseless. It was bullshit. What it was all about, that guy would have probably seen maybe 4 months at best in jail. Not even prison. There was no fucking reason to do what he did. None. He was just a fucking banger wanting to be a fucking badass. And he'll never see. I think he's already been executed. I'm almost positive he's been executed. So, I do see why. I've dealt with a lot of cops in good ways and bad ways. But they get put in situations that normal people wouldn't even go around. That's why they keep calling them. So, I agree with it. But I also agree with Death on about half the crimes in the book, so. I do believe that California should have mandatory death on murder 1 and murder 2 too. So, and I know where you're at. And I know, in the 90s, I would not have been a cop, anywhere around there. Especially East PA, half the places, a friend of mine's girlfriend, lived, her parents lived on Moffett Field. They moved, got relocated, and so we'd go down there all the time. And we drive around all that area. My family's from Pinole, Hayward, Oakland, all that other bullshit in there. And, so we drive around and stuff like that. I remember a couple times, just taking the one turn off of El Camino Real and just, oh shit. No. I've been in Oakland on a street where the projects are. We got lost. We're in a brand new Altima white. Little fucking colors. At least it wasn't like red or blue. But this motorcycle cop comes to the stop sign, and he's just like, fuck this, and just gone. And we knew we were in a bad area when the motorcycle cop ain't gonna he didn't stop, he didn't anything. He was just like, he was doing like 50, he slowed down to about 30, and it just kept going. And ramped it back up. And I was like, we need to get the fuck out of here. So, anyhow.